I wasn't as politically aware in 2002 when all the fear mongering and all the false media reporting was going on to lead us to Iraq. I'm a lot more politically aware now, and I'm seeing very scary things. Very scary misinformation or half information reports coming out now about Iran and the threat of Iran to our shores here. This is from the Associated Press. Report: Iran quadruples production of enriched uranium. Iran's quadrupled its uranium enrichment production capacity amid tensions with the U.S. over Tehran's atomic program, nuclear officials said Monday, just after President Donald Trump and Iran's foreign minister traded threats and taunts on Twitter. Iranian officials made a point to stress that the uranium would be enriched only to the 3.67% limit set under the 2015 nuclear deal with world powers, making it usable for a power plant but far below what's needed for an atomic weapon. But by increasing production, Iran soon will go beyond the stockpile limitations set by the accord. Tehran has set a July 7th deadline for Europe to come up with new terms for the deal, or it will enrich closer to weapons-grade levels in a Middle East already on edge. The Trump administration has deployed bombers and aircraft carriers to the region over still unspecified threats from Iran. Already this month, officials in the United Arab Emirates allege that 4 oil tankers were damaged in a sabotage attack. Yemeni rebels allied with Iran launched a drone attack on an oil pipeline in Saudi Arabia, and U.S. diplomats relayed a warning that commercial airliners could be misidentified by Iran and attacked, something dismissed by Tehran. Nowhere does the Associated Press say, just read this paragraph. Already this month, officials in the UAE, a tyrannical, greedy, oil-rich country, no different than Saudi Arabia, really, as far as their brutality, alleged that 4 oil tankers were damaged in sabotage attacks. Yemeni rebels allied with Iran launched a drone attack on an oil pipeline in Saudi Arabia, and U.S. diplomats relayed a warning that commercial airliners could be misidentified by Iran and attacked, something dismissed by Tehran. Nowhere does the Associated Press say, no evidence exists for most of this? A rocket landed Sunday near the U.S. Embassy in the green zone of Iraq's capital of Baghdad, days after non-essential U.S. staff were ordered to evacuate from diplomatic posts in the country. No one was reported injured. Iraqi military spokesman Brigadier General Yahya Razul told the Associated Press that the rocket was believed to have been fired from eastern Baghdad, an area home to Iran-backed Shiite militias. Again, believed to have been fired from eastern Baghdad, an area home. So we believe it's coming from eastern Baghdad, an area home to Iran-backed Shiite militias. It's unbelievable. This is literally deja vu. No verification, no proof, propaganda, speculation, lies to inflate the threat of a country that has not threatened us. The Iranian enrichment announcement came after local journalists traveled to Natanz in central Iran, the country's underground enrichment facility. There, an unidentified nuclear scientist gave a statement with a surgical cap and a mask covering most of his face. No one explained his choice of outfit, although Israel is suspected of carrying out a campaign targeting Iranian nuclear scientists. Oh, God. I can't even read any more of this. It's war propaganda. And then you have this idiot, our president, tweeting this yesterday. If Iran wants to fight, that will be the official end of Iran. Never threat the United States again. Who's saying Iran wants to fight? This is John Bolton tweeting for him? There's another one today. The fake news put out a typically false statement without acknowledging that the United States was trying to set up negotiations with Iran. This is a false report. Iran will call us if and when they are ready. In the meantime, their economy continues to collapse. Very sad for the Iranian people. Yeah, well, generally, like in Venezuela, when the United States puts illegal, crippling, murderous sanctions on vulnerable countries, yeah, people die and their economy collapses. And then the United States propaganda machine, helped by the corporate media, says, oh, they're collapsing because of decisions made by the government, not because the United States is cutting off their economic apparatus, ability to bank, ability to get foreign money. If this is giving you deja vu, if you remember the Iraq War, this is exactly the propaganda we saw leading up to the Iraq War, minus Bush and Cheney at least weren't tweeting deranged things. They were just doing deranged things in the background, particularly Cheney. And by the way, the corporate media, they don't see their role. Like if you watch CNN covering this stuff, they don't see their role to actually challenge, like, is there evidence that Iran has enriched uranium to that level? Are the Iranian officials, the nuclear science people who said that, could just be bluffing. They could be hyping up their stockpile and their capacity and their ability to spook the U.S. You know, psychological warfare. You ever heard that? Is there any proof that they have expanded their capability, as this report, Reuters story? Iran quadruples production of enriched uranium, says Iranian nuclear officials. I have no idea who's verifying this. I don't know if they have inspectors there. You want to say, Jordan, you're too cynical. Take them at their word. Yeah, let's take the CIA at their word that, Kennedy was killed by Lee Harvey Oswald. Yeah, let's just take their word for it. Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone gunman. Let's take their word for it that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, and a mushroom cloud will devastate all of us. Let's just take their word for it. Let's take their word for it that U.S. drones under President Obama, civilian casualties are very minor. Let's take their word for it that Saudi Arabia, they're doing what they have to do in Yemen. And, that's a local issue. Let's take their word for it that the NSA, how dare you suggest we are spying or surveilling on Americans? We have never done that. John Brennan. James Clapper tells Congress. Let's just take their word for it. Let's take Iran officials' word that they're not, that they've quadrupled uranium with no verification from the American press or even the American government. Let's take the American government's word that commercial airliners could be misidentified by Iran and attacked. This is literally, all of this is wet dreams coming out of John Bolton. Excuse me for the grossness of that statement. It's just delusions out of John Bolton's warmongering mind and body into American press stories. And it is dangerous because, as I've said in previous videos, if you think for 1 second that if Trump feels vulnerable that he is going to lose re-election, if Trump feels vulnerable and he feels like he's up against a tougher candidate this time around than Hillary Clinton, you don't think the current president, the kind of man this person is, would launch a missile at Iran? You don't think this man would send troops into Iran to spook the hell out of the country? I'm a wartime president now. To rally the base, to rally those patriots who say we have to stick with the president. Those patriots meaning Boeing, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, the big banks that benefit from war, fossil fuel companies that benefit from war. And, you could say, whatever, Trump tweets stupidity all the time. Remember Rocket Man? He tweeted that with Kim Jong-un. Right. But we're now at what are we, a year and a half away from the general election? Trump will be able to see who will potentially be the nominee in about a year. So I would not put it past this person. And this person has the same lunatics that George W. Bush had around him. John Bolton is there. Mike Pompeo wasn't with Bush, but he comes from that school of thought. This new defense secretary seems to be a warmonger too. And Donald Trump does not care about American soldiers. He don't care about American veterans either. Donald Trump cares about getting reelected and keeping the greatest reality show in American history going, because he's all in it for the ratings. And I got news for you folks. I don't really trust the Democratic Party to stand up. I mean, I don't really hear the Democratic Party screaming from the rooftops, where is the evidence? I hear some, not all. This is how the media makes those Benjamins. As Brian Williams said on NBC, I am guided by the beauty of our weapons. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.